I'm not.
Chain of command internally.
Okay. All right. Okay, is everybody ready? All right. Good evening. Welcome to the April 6th meeting of Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, as we gather today, let us commit ourselves to service to others across this town, and service to the purpose that unites us in a common goal and serves that bring each of us purpose and meaning. We thank you for the opportunity that you provided for us to be here tonight. We come together in different paths, but you brought us here together for a reason. Let us meet the challenge before us and understand that our residents have placed their confidence in us. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Raventar? Here. Please mark for the record that Councilman Gudzinski is absent. Councilwoman Orthalski?
Here.
Here. The only addition we have to the agenda tonight is there will be an executive session after this. After we do our normal business, we will go in the other room to talk about the executive session, or talk in the executive session, which is to discuss the employment history of particular people or matters leading to the demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of any person pursuant to the public officer's law. Once we talk, we'll come back out. We do not anticipate any further business after that, so you are free to stay. But we will gavel out of the meeting after the executive session with no further public business expected after that executive session. So with that, I'll move on to town council reports. I'll start on my left with Councilwoman Rosowski.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I would like to once again remind the residents that open burning within the town of Glenville is prohibited at this time. We are in brush fire season, and though it may seem like if we get rain, the ground is wet, all of the underbrush and such that has not had a chance to rejuvenate is extremely dry. There was a large brush fire behind Lowe's yesterday. Several town departments responded, and I'd like to thank them for their efforts to contain it safely with no reported injuries. However, this time of year, just again, please remember no open burning within the town for risk of brush fires. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Martin.
Just to remind everybody that the bulk pickup starts Monday, April 25th. Items can be put out as early as the 22nd through the 24th. That's Sunday. And get stuff out. It's tough for us to do this, so get it out this year.
Thank you. Councilman Ramatar.
No,
Excellent. Okay, we'll move on to the first item on the agenda, which is the public hearing. This is a public hearing to hear all persons interested in the proposed local law number 2 amendments to the RPDD on Dutch Meadows Lane for the addition to the town code of the town of Glenville. I'll open the public hearing. I'll ask Mr. Bill Hoblock or is it going to be Brian Osterhout? Okay, Bill Hoblock to address the board on it, and then we'll go to the public hearing, but open that public hearing now.
Great, thank you. With me is Brian Osterhout from the Environmental Design Partnership, who's our civil engineering firm. Ken Worstead, who's with Creighton Manning Engineering, who did our traffic study, and both Brian and Ken have been involved with this project all the way back to day one. So they're here to answer any questions that the board may have. Background, the PDD was approved by this board in 2019. The Planning and Zoning Commission then approved final site plan approval in 2020. The construction of the first phase began last August, and we anticipate the first residents to move in by the end of this summer. You have slide 1, Brian. Just kind of an overall, that is the PDD. It is 24 acres on the southeast corner of Dutch Meadows Lane and Route 50. The approved PDD consists of a total of 208 multifamily units and 30 townhomes. The multifamily component is on the right. The townhome component is on the left, closer to the intersection. The multifamily, I'll go back, please. The multifamily component consists of 4 26-unit buildings 3 stories with elevator service and internal garages, as well as 2 52-unit buildings, again, 3 stories with elevator service and then building garages, similar to the senior living, which is across the road. We also have additional detached garages for the convenience of the residents, as well as a community clubhouse that we do in all our communities with a community great gathering room, movie theater, fitness center, and outdoor swimming pool. There's also 1 property maintenance building on the property. The townhome component of the PDD consists of 7 4-unit buildings. Those are 2 stories and that's it, with internal garages. And there's 1 2-unit townhouse building, also 2 stories with internal garages. As a public benefit associated with the original PDD, we donated 6 acres of land on the north side of Dutch Meadows Lane to the town for the Legacy Veterans Park. The proposed amendment to the PDD, the reason that we are here, we can go to slide 3, consists solely of changing the 30 townhomes to what you're looking at, which is 100 multifamily residences proposed in 2 buildings. The first building, if you go to the next slide, that's comparable to what is under construction right now in the first phase. 3 stories, elevator service, internal garages, and this has a total of 91 residences. And as I said, the design mirrors what is happening under construction now. And also proposed on the site is 1 9-unit building, which is 2 stories, again, with internal garages. The public benefit that we are proposing with this requested amendment is to donate further land to the town on the north side of the Dutch Meadows Lake. Back to the overall. Thanks. Okay, so if you look on the north side of Dutch Meadows Lane, the darker green is the majority of what has already been donated. That's the 6 acres. And then to the left of that, the lighter green, as you look at the northeast corner of Route 50 in Dutch Meadows, it consists of 4 parcels, 3 smaller ones, which were part of the original PDD conveyance, but the largest part of it, the swath through the middle, we are proposing donating that to the town in connection with this amendment. And this land donation will increase the size, obviously, of the Legacy Veterans Park and improve the overall site design, plan, and function of the park. So once that land that we're proposing with this amendment is done, that whole corner will be part of the Legacy Park and certainly will function better. Lastly, I'd just like to mention the environmental review that was done in connection with the original PDD. We underwent a very thorough and detailed environmental review in accordance with SECR. I think everyone will remember the expanded environmental impact assessment that we went through. We also did a very detailed and comprehensive stormwater management plan. So that expanded EIA that you may recall looked at every potential impact associated with the overall PDD, went through all of the studies, all of the plans, all of the correspondence and permits and approvals associated with the overall PDD from various federal and state regulatory agencies. So what EDP did in connection here with the amendment is they looked at the potential environmental impacts associated with this amendment and compared them to the potential impacts in the original expanded environmental impact assessment. That was done to the town with an environmental impact assessment that was submitted previously to the town board. That environmental impact assessment has determined that the original expanded EAF adequately identifies and addresses any and all potential environmental impacts associated with this proposed amendment. So accordingly, based on the assessment that was done with the original PDD and the proposed amendment, a negative declaration under SECR is proper. Let me just note 2 things with the environmental impact assessment that we submitted for tonight's hearing. First, it does contain an updated stormwater management feasibility report. I mentioned that, and obviously it supplements what was done originally. I mentioned that because it was mentioned at the last town board meeting. And that feasibility report does conclude that the stormwater design for the amendment can be designed to meet the requirements of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Storm Water Management Design Manual. Just the second thing to point out in connection with the environmental impact assessment, we also had Creighton Manning Engineering do an updated traffic impact assessment. I'm bringing this up because this also was addressed at the last meeting. And that concludes that the surrounding intersections with the amendment will continue to operate at acceptable levels of service and that no traffic improvements are necessary. So with that, I will turn it over for any questions for myself or Brian or Ken from the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we'll just go forward with the public hearing, and then if any questions arise, we can engage
Thank you.
on that. Thank you. So, public hearing is still open. Is there anyone in the room interested in being heard on this matter? Going once, going twice? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Thank you. I think that I don't think there's any questions, right, from the board, because we went through this last week.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is privilege of the floor. We do not have anyone signed up, but I'll open privilege of the floor, which is now open. Anyone wish to be heard on privilege of the floor, any matter, town business, going once, going twice, seeing none, privilege of the floor is now closed. And we'll move to supervisors' comments to the board, which are fairly brief tonight. Fairly quickly. Just to update you on that Bill Hoblock's a tall guy. I had to lower this microphone, it's up here and I gotta, geez. So, wow. I'm 5'7", Bill. On a good day, right, Jim? I know that's what you want to say. Just a few things to report. We've been working very hard on the multiple pedestrian paths that are going on in the town of Glenville. There's some issues here and there, but we're working through them. The Freemansbridge Road from Dutch Meadows, Freemansbridge Road to Dutch Meadows, which will link up with this project, has been delayed probably for the season, because National Grid feels that they cannot move the poles in time for this season. And now they moved from a 2022 project to a 2023 project, which is very upsetting. But they believe going through the right-of-way acquisition, which they'll have to go through to move the poles, it's going to take that kind of time. And we went through that with our pedestrian path on Glenridge. So that feels like it's gonna move. The Mohawk Bike Hike Trail is also waiting on National Grid. Our best efforts, we need an easement there underneath their lines, and it's just being delayed. We're working very hard on it. We're pressing everywhere we can. We're talking with Metroplex, asking for help. We're talking to our liaison at National Grid, asking for help, but we're trying to move that along as quickly as possible. The good news is the TIP draft report came out today. We knew that at least one of our projects were going to be on it. Two of our projects were actually on it, and one of them was listed first. So this is the project that will pick up the sidewalk on Freemansbridge Road from Dutch Meadows to the airport. So now we're starting to have connections come up to town center as we've always planned. And again, the project we're talking about tonight is in the center of it all, actually. So that's I think good news for us. The second one is a connection to connect pedestrian connectivity to Melwick Park from the Village of Scotia and the neighborhood below the avenue. That is also on the tip, although it's on page 3. So it's a little bit deeper, and I think that's going to be more of a future project, but it's at least identified as an important project. And the last one, the All Plaza walkway. We have hit a wall, literally. As you know, leaving All Plaza and going to Saratoga County, there's a historic cobblestone wall there, which is right in the right of way of Saratoga County, right in the middle of where the sidewalk is planned to go. Saratoga County and Clifton Park really haven't been aggressively talking to these people over there. So I finally just walked over and after many tries of knocking on doors and making phone calls and sending letters, we finally had a meeting with the residents. Um, They are not interested in that sidewalk going where that wall is. And so I proposed other ideas, tried to, bring the wall behind bring the sidewalk behind the wall, which means we'd have to need an easement from them. They were not interested in that either. So we've literally hit a little bit of a roadblock there as far as how we're going to get to the school and what's next. We're engaging Clifton Park and Saratoga County. Right now, I'm trying to put a meeting together with Schenectady County, Saratoga County, Clifton Park, and myself to try to see what we can do here to get this moving. One idea is to move the wall back, but I have to believe the cost of moving a over 100-year-old wall back is not cheap. And so that's something we're going to have to work on. Now getting off sidewalks for a little bit. I had the opportunity to meet with the developer of the Hortzman's Farm proposal. As you all know, it's at planning board right now for referral to the town board for a PDD. We've worked very hard. We've gone through 4 different renditions of this project to try to get it to where residents will be happy with it. I've met with planning board chair Mike Carr. I've met with the resident over there. The latest proposal that went to the planning board on Monday has a much more scaled down version of the plan. It's now 60 units, which is down from 90 units, which is a fairly big reduction in density. There are still some, concerns, but it looks like the planning board, it looks favorably upon it, and it's going to be sent to us with a favorable review, it appears. So that will be coming forward. Not to say that the residents in the area still are not, happy with it, but it certainly is something that seems to be more in line with the area. So we're continuing to work on that as well. May 7th is Love Your Parks Day. We are looking to do trail work in Indian Meadows at 10 a.m. We're going to try to take care of all the muddy areas in Indian Meadows on the path with stone dust. So if you guys are willing, we can maybe work as a team to get that stone dust down on that path. 10 o'clock on Saturday the 7th in Indian Meadows. Of course, for residents, we're looking for other folks to clean up in other parks. Every year we try to do something like that. So if you know anyone interested, any groups that want to get together and do something, that would be great if they can do that. Speaking of parks, our new park worker that we put in the budget for the full-time new position will start on May 2nd. We met with CSCA, had a very good discussion on coming to an agreement on this kind of non-traditional of hours that this person will be working. We have agreement on that, so they'll be working over the weekend, which is the first time we'll have park workers, and a park worker at least right now, in our parks over the weekend, which is badly needed. This is the beginning of building our park department we've talked about for years. This is step 1. And so now we're on our way, starting May 2nd, turn the page, and I think we're going to begin to start to work in our parks a little bit differently. The only other thing I have, I do want to bring one other pedestrian friendly project up, and Jim knows about this one too. Through New York State DOT, something called the RAISE grant funding. We're going to pursue with the Village of Scotia to bring pedestrian friendly trail from I-890 all the way down through the village to the Western Gateway Bridge, I believe, but it will connect Melwick Park, connect our Business and Technology Park, pedestrian friendly. We will be looking at a bridge over the Mohawk to connect into Rotterdam, which gets us into the Long Trail. Is that correct? The Empire Bike Hike Trail. So that really brings a lot more connectivity around. But I think talking about Wolf Hollow gets us into the Long Trail. Yeah, so the Wolf Hollow property the county currently owns right now. So we'll be going after that grant. It's a huge grant, and it's very much mostly funded either through U.S. Department of Transportation or some other, and the state would actually step up and do the match. And the state, our match, the state money is eligible to meet our match. So we would go after that ADA money to meet our match. So this really can be done at no cost to the town. And it would be a huge connection, helping our connectivity. Before it's over, we're going to have the entire town connected, it feels like, with pedestrian paths. Lastly, just to put on your calendar for next week, agenda items for work session. I really want to now sit down with the board and talk about what our plan is for our capital needs as far as the town hall is concerned. The state budget, obviously, as you know, has been tied up. It didn't meet its deadline, but I've been working very diligently with the senator's office on making sure that our $1.4 million that has been tied up at DASNY gets moved. Make no mistake about it, it's a political process right now. It is held up because of politics. So the minority leader within the state Senate has to talk to the majority leader within the state Senate. The majority leader has to say, okay, we'll move that project forward. Then the governor has to sign off on the project yet too. This is the most movement though we've had in 4 years on this money. So I'm told by the senator that this is a priority of the conference, and so they're really putting it into the budget talks. And so if that moves, that's something we need to talk about. You know, we need to be ready. But any employee here can tell you we have massive needs that we just can't put Band-Aids on anymore. We have to make decisions. And if we move to another building or not, or if we put up a storage facility, or if we add space somewhere, we have to make the decision. And so Courtney is going to give the board the process with the RFP process. We'll answer questions about prevailing wage, all those questions, and then go forward with whatever our decision is and move forward. We obviously have ARPA money, as you know. And then the second agenda item ties in a little bit, and I've talked with Jason about this a little bit, but we've had an offer from a firm who wants to purchase out our cell tower leases. They want to buy those out. So we get an income stream right now, and it's structured. So some of them expire before others, correct? But the last one goes through 2043. These folks want to offer us upfront money to buy those out, and it's a lump sum. And so I think, I'm going to ask Jason to come in and just talk about what does that mean financially for us? Does it make sense? Doesn't it make sense? And how we want to proceed. But potentially that could be a bucket of money, or if it's not a better option for us, at least we need to entertain it and kind of go from there. So those are the only other two things I have for the work session. Any questions? No. Thank you. Okay. So with that, we'll get back to the agenda. We'll start with our resolutions. Resolution item number 8, adopting local law number 2 to amend the RPDD for Dutch Meadows Lane project. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, the resolution that will move to approve the amendment to the residential plan development district that we have heard detailed during the public hearing. There is actually a two-part resolution. The first part, it will essentially reauthorize the negative declaration on the original assessment, and then also enact the change to the local law. And a couple of things I will note. I want to thank the applicant for the thoroughness of the information presented. On traffic specifically, they did do a traffic analysis, and there is 18 increased trips, but they come to the conclusion that the highway system, the intersection design can absorb that without any adverse impact to the intersection. They also, the other, I think, thing of particular note is stormwater management, and they went into some detail on that. If you recall, I did mention the idea of potentially altering the design. I did hear from the design consultant. They called me directly. They went into the reasons why that was not optimal. It was primarily relating to stormwater. That was the location of the building. That cannot be done. And I agree with that at the having a conversation. So that's a little bit depth and detail about this resolution, but it's a two-parter really, authorizing the executive and the speaker, and then also making the actual change in the law that would permit the project to go forward.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Counselor Martin?
Yes.
Counselor Rademacher?
Yes.
Counselor Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 9, scheduling a public hearing for all persons interested in the proposed moratorium on the solar farm. The code of the town of Glenville. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
Do
that.
I have a second? Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is a resolution setting a public hearing in this room for Wednesday, April 20th at 7 p.m. To hear those residents who want to comment on the proposed moratorium on solar farms that is permitted under Article 22 solar energy code of the town of Glenville.
Any questions or comments?
This is just setting the public hearing, not the authorizing the moratorium.
I do just want to take a moment to, on the record, because I had some calls about it. You know, the hallmark of, I think, the work we've done for so many years is really balance in this town. And we try to balance everything at all times. And solar panels is one of those things that we're trying to balance. And we had no areas for solar panels before our first moratorium. And then we discussed it and we created this thing where it can only happen around the substations. In that time that we created that, we've had now proposals for 350 acres of solar in the town of Glenville. That is a lot of solar in one town. I think the board recognizes that the substation area that is all centered around now is full. And I think now at this juncture, it makes sense to take a pause, take a moment to look at it, and see where or if it makes sense to continue to do more. 350 acres is a lot of acreage, and I'm getting a little bit concerned about that. So, and I know you folks are probably as well. So I just wanted to be on the record as to, because I got questions as to why we're doing it after we created the solar law a couple of years ago. It's because there's been so many applications.
Well, and the thing is, I do a fair amount of work on this stuff myself, from a zoning point of view. And the standard that I've come to realize is applied by the solar providers is they look at areas within 1 mile radius of substations and 2 mile radius of transmission. I'm sorry, 2 miles of a substation and 1 mile of transmission line. When you apply that standard, we have, from transmission lines and substations here, that's a huge area of town.
Right. So again, as you say, just setting the public hearing, but I did want to just put that out there so people have an understanding. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Counselor Martin?
Yes.
Counselor Rademacher?
Yes.
Counselor Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Oh, just leave it there? Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Rademacher?
Yes.
Counselor Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 11, authorizing the supervisor to sign undertaking for the benefit of the New York State Department of Transportation in connection with work affecting the state highways. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. That's a very clumsy way of saying that we're trying to get on a longer permit schedule so that we don't have to continue to do annual permits. And this is allowed by New York State DOT. The highway superintendent has indicated this is an efficiency and an improvement. And so we're going to try to get into a multi-year permit with New York State DOT. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Counselor Martin?
Yes.
Council Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 12, authorizing the town of Glenville to declare itself the lead agency for seeker regarding the proposed Melwick Park project. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, Supervisor, this resolution relates to a grant, yet another grant that the town is going after. I'm sorry, that's not awarded, it's the Canalway Fund grant, and this is associated with the environmental assessment. And part of that, the part one and part two has been prepared, and we're claiming lead status in that environmental assessment. And this is just taking that status and keeping any input from any other involved agencies.
I just have a technical question. I have to make sure I'm right. This says that this boat launch will be going on the southwest corner. It's been moved, correct? Yes. Is this a technical thing or do we have to amend the resolution? It's going to the southeast from the southwest.
No, just put it on the list.
Okay,
Put it on the list.
all right.
It's just a whereas, we're not resolving,
Okay,
are you resolving to do that?
no,
No.
It's just a whereas, as long as you put on the record that southeast instead of
Okay.
southwest.
okay.
And really, if you can just make that reflection in your minutes, then we'll be okay.
So just to elaborate on that, the grant was originally awarded to be built on the southwest corner of Melwick Park. In that, since the grant has been awarded and we started doing our work with the Canal Corps, they have indicated that it was they believe unsafe to be put there because kayakers could eventually or somehow be sucked into maybe the dam. And so they've suggested that we move it to the southeast corner of Melwick Park, which is down by the lock 8.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right. So we would have to at least get an easement or lease the land or whatever from the state. But this was really an amendment that they made. Ironically, after that agency gave us the money, that agency said it wasn't the proper place to put it. So
All right.
right hand, left hand thing. And so we're moving it. And so let the record just reflect that. That is the southeast corner. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Council Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 13, approving a purchase for equipment for the Parks Department. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Supervisor, and this is for the short, recommend the facility, commercial field, term over, which is already included in the budget, for the purchase price of $550.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Council Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 14, approving the appointment of Bruce Wers to fill a vacancy on the Board of Assessment Review. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, just for discussion, as I think you all know, there's been a vacancy on the Board of Assessment. Our assessor, Bill Pertel, has reached out and has asked for any interested residents. Bruce Wers actually was the only interested resident that came forward, but Bruce is also a very qualified individual, and as I think you all know, he served on our ZBA for years and has served in different capacities on different boards for the town over the many years. So look forward to Bruce coming forward on the bar. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt? Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 15, approving the minutes for the regular town board meeting held on March 16th, 2022. And there was nobody absent, right? Okay, so with that, do I have a motion?
I'll move
Do I
it.
have a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Council Martin?
Yes.
Council Ramichardt? Councilman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Yes, resolution passes. Before we go into executive session, we'll close out here with our new business. And I'll start on my left with Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
I have no new business.
On new business, Council Martin.
Just want to congratulate the planning department and for going forward with a great grant. Great idea, nice opportunity, and there's a lot of funding there, so hopefully, that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Ramichardt. Okay, I have nothing new either. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going forward with an executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person or people on matters leading to the demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of any person pursuant to public officer law. We don't anticipate any further public business, so you are absolutely welcome to stay for us to come back, but we're only planning to come back to gavel out. So there's no reason to really stay unless you want to. So with that, I'll take a motion to go to executive session.
I'll move it.
Second? Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We're in executive session. I'm going to turn the microphone off. Uh, Let the record show that the Glenville Town Board came out of executive session at 8:04. Back in the regular session, no further business on the agenda. I'll take a motion to adjourn out of regular session.
I'll move that.
Moved by Councilman Martin, second
I'll second.
by Councilman Rosbowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.